What mistake do you regret the most? Did you manage to learn anything from it?
Couple of days ago, it was morning 10 a.m. A little 5 years old girl knocked door of our home. I was watching a movie on my laptop. My mom opened the door. The little girl lives in our neighborhood. She asked to my mom, where is Gurmeet Bhaiya? My mom, he is inside. What happened? Can he take my father to doctor today for his physiotherapy session? My mom came into my room and asked me to go to their home to help her father. Me, no mom, can't you see I am watching movie? I can't go. Send her back. Somehow my mom insisted me to go with her. I was a bit angry and I was going unwillingly. When I came outside, I saw she was waiting for me. When I started walking with her, she did hold my finger and asked, when my dad will be able to walk? I could see innocence and hope in her words. Her eyes were saying everything. I felt like I woke up from something. I was regretting how could I say no to help her. Actually, her family is having disaster. Her father had an accident few months ago and he can't walk. Her uncle expired 1 month ago whereas her grandfather expired a week ago. Now there's no male at her home to take care of them. Just for a movie and a world of illusion, I denied for a simple help. This is worst thing I have ever done. It has been 2 days and yet that thing is bothering my mind. May God bless her family. Thanks for scrolling down, Guru. A few months back, one morning, my wife found 2 boils on my younger son's neck. My wife told me about them. I was very busy that day, and after seeing them, I asked her to apply some antiseptic cream and decided to take him to doctor the next day. Next morning the doctor wasn't available, and the boils had increased. I asked my wife to apply the cream again and took the appointment for the following day. When my wife changed the kid's clothes at night, he started crying uncontrollably. He had around 7 to 8 ulcers like boils all over his neck. This scene was fierce. We got anxious and applied a lot of cream all over his neck and made him sleep without clothes. During the night, he caught fever. All night I woke up in regret thinking how stupid I behaved by not visiting the doctor the first day itself. In the morning, we rushed to the doctor. She was surprised seeing his condition and said that boils tend to spread in little kids, but his case was extreme. She asked us to give some strong medicines, and if things didn't get better till the next day, we had to admit him. Thankfully the swelling and boils started to fade a little by the next morning. In the next few days, the boils disappeared, leaving a permanent mark on his neck. As a parent, I am responsible for taking care of the smallest of needs of my children, and I ignored the misery of a child who couldn't even speak. After that incident, I never delay any medical needs of anyone at home, be it children or parents. I went over to my landlord's to pay the rent. He was a know-it-all SOB, with not a friend in town. As I was waiting for him to write me a receipt, I noticed a suicide note on the table. I said nothing. 2 days later he put a shotgun shell through his head. In retrospect, I wish I had talked to him and tried to dissuade him. I had the opportunity to perhaps save his life and I did nothing. I learned that I would never let such an opportunity to get past me again and that all life is worth living. My father is difficult to explain. He loved handkerchiefs and Swiss Army knives. He was quirky, proud, private, irrational, impossible. He was full of secrets. He led a compartmentalized life and considered any illness a form of weakness. When he began showing signs of dementia, we didn't speak about it for years. Then we did, in hushed tones. One day he called to tell me he had cancer. At first I thought he was confused. Then I regarded the cancer as a blessing. Dementia was fog, illusion, unclear, unreal, untreatable. Cancer was present, concrete. There was surgery. There was treatment. There was an end. My father's health declined quickly after this diagnosis, but it wasn't a steady decline. He got worse, then better, then worse, then worse than before, then better. He lived in Mexico and I lived in San Francisco. I visited as often as I could, roughly every 2 months. Some visits would make my blood run cold. Others made me wonder if I was imagining everything. One dark day my brother called to tell me I needed to change my plane ticket to arrive earlier than I had planned. He said my dad was doing worse. Much worse. I didn't listen. I had just spoken to my dad. He sounded tired and sick, but no different than the weeks before. From one day to the next, I called and heard his voice and felt a nuclear bomb go off in my heart. It was my own internal voice that finally got through to me. Deshka, get on a plane, get on a plane. Now time has run out. 2 months before, my father and I had gone out to a restaurant for a late lunch. This time when I got to Mexico, he couldn't stand. He couldn't speak. He was nearly deaf. The decline over the next few days was meteoric, faster than a free fall. He needed my help to sit up, and a couple of hours later I was lifting dead weight. He was hallucinating. It was like every function in his body hit its expiration date at the same time. I made it to Mexico 5 days before his death. I was in the house with all my siblings and we sat around his bed when he died. I should have gotten on that plane sooner. I regret most of all putting such a tremendous burden on my younger brother. His prudent, tactful voice saying move your trip, and me too distraught and scared to pay attention. I should have listened to him. Meeting that guy. October 24, 2013. It's more than 3 years, but still the incident is crystal clear in my mind. Back then, I was a young girl full of life and ambitions and just wanted to grow and grow fast in life. I got in touch with a guy, let's call him A, from a recruitment agency. He exhibited a keen interest in my profile and called me to offer a job as a model. Although I was working as an engineer, but I could not resist myself and fell into the trap of glamour in stellar society. We started talking on phone and having occasional Skype calls. We grew friendship and I finally decided to meet him on October 24, 2013. So it was my first meeting, and I don't know how he convinced me to accompany him to his apartment. He took to his apartment, adulterated me with drink, and then forced himself onto me. Not only this, he even filmed the whole incident and then started blackmailing me. He used to call me at odd hours like 4 o'clock in the morning and used to talk all shit and harass me and threaten me to post my video if I don't agree to his demands. I felt as if my world has come to an end and I should kill myself to save my family from the embarrassment. I started getting weak and pale and lifeless. Days passed but nothing helped me. I was feeling used and filthy and started hating myself. I discussed this all with my best friend and he gave me courage to fight. He made me understand that nobody in this world has right to make me feel that miserable. He made me and took me to police station where I lodged a complaint against him. The police helped us, though the interrogation really sucked, and asked me to call that boy to meet me again. By then I have even recorded his conversation and presented them as a proof to police. On October 31st, I agreed to meet me again on that location where we first met. I reached there prior to given time and waited there on a separate table while my friend and police, in casuals, waited on another. And there he was. I saw A coming towards me. My heart started pounding again. I clenched my hand, but the moment he waved towards me, that was it. The police came and grabbed him from his neck. They took him to police station where he agreed everything and surrendered his phone and laptop. So that was it. I regret meeting A the most in my life. P.S. The friend is my husband now, J. Behaving like a racist would. The situation, I was raised in the South, and even though I went to a high school that was split ethnically about 50/50 between white and black people, I was raised in an environment where race was always noticed and always a thing. I had black friends, and played football with black people, and never really had any issues with anyone. Hell, some of my best friends were black, so I should have known better. But when my sister decided to date a black guy at school, the family freaked out and I didn't behave any better. I do remember crying because I felt so conflicted over what seemed like a catch-22 situation: upset my family by supporting my sister or upset my friends and potentially be known as a racist. Eventually, I had a conversation with her about it and told her it wasn't right to do and asked her to break off the relationship. What happened next? My sister broke up with him, and he knew I was a part of the influencing group. What hurts worse is that I knew better. Before I spoke to my sister, I had a conversation with one of the adult men who was active in my youth group. The man is black and has a white wife, and I explained to him the conflict I was in. He first asked questions about the character of the guy my sister was dating. I responded with lies. Oh, this kid is a thug. Oh, this guy isn't good news, etc. Truth is, I didn't know this dude my sister was dating at all, but just because he was black, he was never given a chance. I use these statements as a mask. and the intent was that if it worked on this guy, my friends wouldn't think I was a racist either and I could pull this off. My youth leader actually warned me of this behavior, but I was so convinced that I'm not a racist and that if I just reframed this in my mind, I could justify their breakup. Question I wish I could ask my then self: dude, if you really believe what you're doing isn't racist, then what did you seek out a black man you barely know to discuss, explain, and justify this to? How I see it today. This is my biggest regret and biggest mistake from my adolescence. As I've grown older, I've admitted openly about this mistake to others. I own it like a badge and try my best to call out behavior like this when I see it. With family, friends, strangers, etc. It's important for people to realize the influence that family and community can have on a teenager. Even when the teenager knows better, they can behave in a way that they shouldn't because they are conflicted. I certainly knew better. My friends who are black knew what I did at the time, specifically my best friend. I'm very fortunate to say that he is still my best friend to this day, and looking back on the situation, I deserve for him to drop me from his friend list. Instead, he listened to my bullshit justification, told me that he thinks I'm being racist, and proceeded to look past the mistake that I made until I did eventually grow up and own up to it. It's even more regretful how I behaved because I've witnessed that same best friend have to deal with this same situation, only from the other perspective being that he is a black man. He said families not allowed daughters date him because of his skin color, yet he's one of the smartest, coolest, and most successful people that I know. As for the guy and my sister, I have spoken and apologized to my sister about this situation, and she has also forgiven me. I've also apologized to other friends who were around during this time period and have discussed it with my family so that they know I now think this was a mistake. I've not had a discussion with the guy she was dating. There is still some embarrassment on my part and reluctance to reach out, and I don't really know him. Sadly, I heard that he was recently paralyzed, but our mutual friends have always spoken highly of him, which of course makes me feel like a complete ass. I'll send him a Facebook note at some point, I'm sure, but lesson learned.